So we come to the, we're still in the dealing and with this skeptical doubt, vichikicha. And I think on Monday I spoke about the types of, different types of doubt that arises in like I think I better share the screen. Okay, can you all see? Okay, yeah. Okay, now we were talking about this, the 8 types of skeptical doubt. Doubt about the Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha, and the Sikha, the training. And then we have the doubt about the past, the future, the present, conditionality. Now, conditionality here, I think I didn't mention. Conditionality here is that people have doubt about the dependent origination. How come there's no, for example, like, how come there's no first beginning? How do we go and explore the first beginning? There must be a first beginning, something like that, So the Buddha mentioned that in the text that don't go into this type of thinking. You go into this type of thinking, there will never be an ending. So he says that don't go into this type of thinking about the first cause and so on. So then some people also don't believe about this conditionality and are doubtful about this conditionality in the sense that they believe in the Almighty God, believe in a creator. Then this type of creator do everything. So there's no need to all this dependent origination, all this karma thing, all these effects, all its consequences, all the delusion, and so on. Not necessary all those things. All you need to do is just to believe. And you believe everything is okay if they go into that belief. So when it comes into conditionality, they have a lot of doubt there. So this is what it meant by the skeptical doubt. So as I said, this is very complicated. Was I in the past, in the future? What I am in the present? That one connected with soul, connected with permanency, connected with whether there's past, got karma, no karma, these are things are very complicated. So all these things the Buddha says, don't dwell into it. You dwell into it, you waste your time, and it creates a lot of doubt in you. And then we talk about the characteristics, because here, the characteristics, the function, it's when we want to go into, especially in the vipassana, and then we need to see it's the true nature of the skeptical doubt, and then therefore we can able to recognize it. We can able to recognize it, and we start to slowly abandon them. Okay. Now, as I said, that the Buddha said that the yoniso manasikara, wise attention or careful attention, and then if you have this wise attention, then this type of doubt do not arise, and the arisen doubt is abandoned. So while we are still here, alive, whether we are in the retreat or not, we have to develop that wise attention as much as possible and abandon that unwise attention, ayoniso manasikara. Now, a proper way of overcoming a hindrance, of course, you have to have that, as I said, a little bit of mindfulness must be there. At least you can able to recognize it, that this is a hindrance. You know that the hindrance is arising. And here, while if we are in a meditation, then the noting or the labeling also, it's very helpful. It's very helpful to properly identify that this is a skeptical doubt. Now, when it comes to the skeptical doubt, it also come with this restless mind, because it's a kind of the agitated mind. But this type of agitated mind is shaking your confidence. It shakes your faith. That's why it goes into skeptical doubt. So it's connected with agitation of the mind. So if you're able to settle that agitation, you also settle the doubt. You settle the doubt, you also settle the agitation. Now here the acceptance of it is this. We have to be acceptance that sometimes some of the Dhamma we may not know. We do not know some of the Dhamma, or the teachings of the Buddha, perhaps we do not know. And with that, we can able to humble ourselves. Then only we keep our mind open to learn. Sometimes if our mind is a lot of doubt here and there, and somebody is talking, somebody is giving a Dhamma talk, then if our mind is not open, then the mind is a lot of critical thinking, that is not right, this is not right, this way is not right to talk, this way, this and that, a lot of ego is involved in it. And when the ego involved in it, you are not able to learn anything. And as I said in the past, and I think in some talks ago, as I mentioned that even if I listen to somebody else giving a talk on Vipassana, on how to do the rising falling, how to do the walking meditation, I'll open up the ears to listen rather than putting into our mind, every time I hear this thing, I think I can do it better, I think I can this and that, then it's all the ego is there. Yeah? Now here we come to the overcoming part. Overcoming part, it can be quite a lot. So the principle here, of overcoming is you must have right learning of the faith, which also falls under Yoniso Manasikara. It falls under Yoniso Manasikara. In a sense that this Yoniso Manasikara, when you want to overcome skeptical doubt, it must be the three types of wisdom, the three types of faith. The faith that comes from the right learning, the right knowledge. And then the wisdom that comes from the right knowledge. From right knowledge here means listening or hearing, in the sense that you hear the right Dhamma, or you search for the right Dhamma. Like karma, noble eightfold path, four noble truth. Talk about a little bit of Abhidhamma, some Vipassana, Samatha meditation, this type of things. Yoniso Manasikara. Then also, in the practice, in the sense of meditation time, then the vichara, sustained application of the mind, which I think I show you a little bit. Now, here, vichara. Vichara here, that's number 2, overcomes the skeptical doubt. It overcomes the skeptical doubt. So how do we bring this vichara, and especially into our meditation? Because this vichara is there, then the faith also comes up, or the abandonment of the doubt will occur, or the Yoniso Manasikara will arise. So vichara also is an important part of it. So we'll see. We're going to blend everything into it, and we'll see how we are able to develop these things, these qualities. All right, let's go back here. So overcoming here, again, we go through the same principle of Vipassana, Samatha, and other skillful ways. Let's go into a little bit more. Okay. Here got other skillful ways. There's still quite a lot, actually. Don't know whether tonight can finish everything or not. I don't think so. All right, anyway. Okay. Now, we overcome by vipassana, samatha, and other proper skillful ways. So, as I said many times, that you want to overcome a defilement of the mind, you must always use a wholesome mental state or wholesome mental states. You cannot try to overcome it by your ego. If you really do not know you are doubtful, then you say, I'm not doubtful, I know everything. And then that is called ego. Has a lot of ego. You try to suppress the doubt by using ego, and ego is a defilement. So we cannot do those type of things. So I've been giving examples about that. All parts during we discuss on this hindrance. All right. Direct vipassana, chittanupassana, and dhammanupassana. Here, when we deal with this chittanupassana, then when it comes into the part when the chittanupassana, dealing with skeptical doubt falls under being aware of the consciousness as a deluded consciousness. Okay? You're aware of the consciousness as a deluded consciousness. Just like, for example, in the Satipatthana Sutta, in the Chittanupassana, there is the Buddha says that if a greedy mind, you know it's a greedy mind. If it's not a greedy mind, you know it's not a greedy mind. You know it's what do you call that? Hatred mind, you know it's a hatred mind. You know it's not a hatred mind, you know it's not a hatred mind. You know it's a deluded mind, you know it as a deluded mind. You know it as not deluded mind, you know it as non-deluded mind. So deluded mind is that type of it falls under Chittanupassana. Okay? Now, how do we notice this Chittanupassana? Let's say now you are doing a sitting meditation and things are going quite well for you. Things are going quite well for you, and then suddenly you begin to think about your teacher. My teacher actually really enlightened one. My teacher really can teach one. He or she looks young. Can man? That type of thought is all that a lot of question marks arises, and you do not have answers for it. You just want to question and question and question only. So you know them doubtful. Don't, as I said earlier on, some talks, previous talks, I said you don't go and answer that question. Although it's very enticing and intoxicating to answer everything in your head, or in your heart. Very intoxicating, very enticing. You really want to grip you to answer everything. So when you question these type of questions, then that day I saw I saw him, I saw her. He was not very mindful. He forget his things. How could that be? How could that be? How come I'm meditating here? He's talking. He got guests to come. Why is he not meditating? That type of thinking. It comes in as you are doubtful about it comes in a skeptical doubt, a certain theme, and then there's a lot of question, and then sometimes you try to answer it in a very negative way. All these things, you must try to recognize it as skeptical doubt, or you note it doubtful, or skeptical doubt. Or you note it as deluded. So here, again, as I said, while this type of question arises, at times the ego also arises. We think that we are sometimes better than our teachers. The mind can think of all kinds of things during at the time of sitting meditation. So you must not, when you get up, you must not feel so sorry for yourself. How could I think of this time? I have faith in him, but while I'm meditating, all these type of terrible thoughts arises inside me. So you must not be very, get pulled down by this type of thoughts. These are just skeptical doubt. It will try to make you anxious. It may try to make you think that, oh, I think of all these type of things. After that, I got karma. How big karma, small karma, everything come together. And then after that, you cannot meditate already. The mind can go, as I said, the mind can go into terrible thinking. It can go into terrible thinking. Sometimes it can go with lust. Sometimes it can go with hatred. Sometimes we go with skeptical doubt. So you got to be just careful. So if you are doubting about these things, you just all these questions. You make doubting. Or you tell yourself, okay, put aside first. Don't have to go and think of all these other things. You tell yourself, put aside, and then come back to where? That one is be indirect really. If you come back to your rising, falling, and so on, they'll be going into indirect really. But what is the direct vipassana is that you see the doubt as it is. Now this time, let's say you are thinking about the teachers or the practice. And here it's you notice that doubting. You see that the thoughts changing from one thought to another thought to another thought to another thought. As long as you don't go inside there. Here, when you don't go inside there, you don't regard as the teacher or the person as an I, and you don't regard yourself also as an I. The mind just see it as just thoughts. See it as a skeptical doubt passing through one after another. You see how it arises and how it goes. It come and go, and sometimes it come and go quite fast, and then sometimes it slow down, sometimes it pick up speed again. So if you notice in this way, then you notice the nature of skeptical doubt. In the sense of Chittanupassana, as in overcoming also, we also note it until it begins to slowly fade away, slowly, then after that it completely disappears. Once it disappears, the mind becomes clear again. Becomes clear, and the mind can meditate again. It's just like a cloud, It comes in and then it makes your meditation very blur and very doubtful. It's a kind of a deluded mind. Usually, this type of thoughts arises in the yogis. This type of thoughts arises in the yogis, and then you must not be shameful. Shameful to have this type of thoughts. This is the nature of the mind. This is part of the nature of the mind. You aware of it. You acknowledge it, and this is just a skeptical doubt. They are all just skeptical doubt. When it comes to Dhammanupassana, again here you have to look at it just like something like Chittanupassana, but this one you expanded it a little bit more towards the body or feelings or emotion. Just now, Chittanupassana, when you do Chittanupassana, it's only in the mind only. The mind in the beginning is very, very luan, very, very haphazard, a lot of thinking. And then if you notice the mind slowly, it begins to become more calm, more peaceful. There's a little bit of shakiness is there. And then after that, you notice again, finally, everything comes clear, and then the mind can able to note whatever object again. Dhammanupassana also the same thing. But this one, you extended it to your emotion, to your feelings, or towards your bodily sensation. So how do we notice this again? Now, say for example, you notice this type of thoughts. You are thinking of whether the sutta that you are reading, for example, whether it's authentic or not. How come this type of sutta is say like that? How come my object, I'm seeing it like that? Is it I'm wrong? Is it I'm right? Is it I'm wrong, or is it the book is right? How come the insight say especially this type of meditator, they read a lot of this progress of insight. Is this my first insight or not? How come the book says like that, and then how come I notice it in this way? Is it the book correct, or am I wrong? Am I right, or is it the book wrong? Sometimes people, those people who read a lot, but they begin attached to their reading, they attach to their own thinking, and then they want to compare. So here again, skeptical doubt. So skeptical doubt, you notice it, doubting. You put all the books aside, you put all the knowledge aside, everything you put aside, just notice as doubting. When you notice as doubting, in Dhammanupassana, you also take a note of your bodily is reacting to the doubting. How the body is reacting to the doubting. For example, when the doubting is there, thinking is there, your body perhaps not able to sit still. You want to have like small little movements of your hands, kind of like, you want to open up your eyes, you want to shift the hands a bit, you want to adjust your cushion a little bit, or you feel like, you can't sit still. That type of situation that you are going through. That is part of the objects of Dhammanupassana. So this time you notice doubting, and then you notice your body is moving or fidgeting a little bit, slouching a little bit, slight movement a little bit. Then you notice doubting. Then you begin to connect that movement and the doubting is taking place. Or you notice the doubting, and then you feel that a very uneasiness in the heart. I should not think about all these things. Then here you're noting uneasy, unpleasant. So you notice this type of how in the relation of the doubting and the emotional entanglement, unpleasant feelings arises. And then you notice unpleasant, unhappy, doubting, unhappy. Then you notice in this way, body is moving, fidgeting, moving, thinking, doubting, until the whole doubt begins to fade away. So when you notice these things, it's good because you expand your observation in noticing how this doubting is connecting with all the body and the mental part of it. So you put an effort, you put mindfulness inside there, and you notice it, notice until all this fades away. All this skeptical doubt fade away. So there is a difference between Dhammanupassana and Cittanupassana. In the Cittanupassana, if you notice this mind doubt arise, pass away, then the impermanence, the anicca, becomes more prominent. If you notice the Dhammanupassana, then is the non-self more prominent because you begin to see the connection of the inter-relationship part of this mind and body. Okay? This is what we call the direct vipassana. Now, in the indirect vipassana, here, indirect vipassana, it also depends on, the level of your development. Some yogis, when especially in the beginning, when you cannot deal with this mind or cannot deal with this dhammanupassana, chittanupassana, when you cannot deal with it, then here it's better for you to bring it to another object while the skeptical doubt is still there. So you do it as if like when you treat it like a restless mind like that. You treat it like a restless mind in the sense that you take doubting, and then you slowly, gently pull the mind into the rising and falling. Just relax with the rising and falling. Build the mindfulness from the rising and falling. If you build the mindfulness from the rising and falling, but then because the mindfulness is not strong enough, it will go back to the doubting. You'll start thinking. Then you tell yourself, don't go inside there. Okay, pull the mind back out to the rising and falling again. Then it will pull you back again to the thinking and then back again to the rising and falling. To and fro, until you begin to able to stay with the rising and falling more and more. Until you, in the background, begin to notice this type of thinking, this type of skeptical doubt begins to fade away. It begins to disappear. Or you can take the in-breath, out-breath. Same principle like the rising and falling. So here again, you go back to the in-breath, out-breath. Just in and out. Just want to stay. When I say you try to stay with it, that is also where the vichara comes in. Sustained application of the mind. You want to sustain on an object. You sustain it, you hold onto it, and you take note of it. You take note of it. So when you stay there, the mindfulness arises. And the mindfulness arises, it overcomes the skeptical doubt. You don't have to directly deal with the skeptical doubt. Otherwise, you just use as another calm object just to calm the mind down. So it's connected with the restless mind also. Walking also the same thing. Now, if you cannot deal with this during the sitting, get up in the walking and do the walking. This one, push the thought as far as you can, and then bring the mind back to the body. Feel the body, feel the lifting, pushing, dropping, feel the whole leg, just to bring up that mindfulness. Once the mindfulness arises, again, this skeptical doubt will disappear. Now, this type of skeptical doubt, they will affect you as long as you are not enlightened, even in the first stage of, even before the first stage of enlightenment. It will affect you. It will in fact affect all the yogis. The faith that it will shake your faith in your practice, not in the sense of the Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha, but the experience itself. The experience that when you are meditation, that you have a hard time consoling yourself with the experience. What do I mean with this? Here, sometimes when a yogi advances into the deeper aspect of the meditation, the objects does not behave the same way like when you are in the beginning of the meditation. Does not behave. In the beginning of the meditation, say if you are using rising and falling, in the development of the rising and falling, you will see a lot of this rising, falling, rising, falling. You see a form there. You see a shape there. You see how the rising, falling is moving this way and that way. Kind of like you feel quite a concrete object that you can able to sort of mentally hold it, or embrace it. And you feel good about your meditation, which is good in the beginning part of it. So too, like in the in-breath, out-breath, for those who are doing in the Vipassana sense, then again here you can able to see the in-breath, out-breath very clearly. Sometimes it's long and sometimes it's short, sometimes one long and one short, sometimes it's left is warm, right is cold. Sometimes you can see that the movement is not straight, the movement may be a bit slanted a bit, even the in-breath, out-breath. There are variations even in the in-breath, out-breath itself, if you are doing the way of Vipassana. But the thing is that as you develop further into the development, then the objects behave more differently. We have discussed about it in the previous talks, and especially talking about the sati sampajanya that time, sampajanya that time. As I said, that in the beginning part, you look at the characteristic, long, short, and so on. That is what I mean when you are in the beginning. Yeah? When you go into the deeper aspect of the meditation, then the objects changes even more faster than what you know. You have not seen all these things before. And sometimes the object is changed until that the form of the rising and falling is no more there. Or how the in-breath, out-breath, how it comes in and out or up and down, no more there. It's just changing. It's just that the shape of the rising and falling can go into a very random shape, as if like you cannot hold on to it anymore. You're still noting it, not to say that you are completely out of it, but it's very strange that how the rising falling can move sideways, move at the back, move turning and churning and pulling, and then after that it disappears, then it come again, and then gone again, come again. This is where your skeptical doubt will start coming in. You still start thinking, see, how come my meditation become like that already now? Am I doing right? Now that is where sometimes a lot of yogis, as they progress, this type of doubt starts coming in. It starts coming in because of you have never seen it before. You have never experienced these things before. That's why in the beginning part, the doubt is there. So we have to clear these doubts. We have to clear the doubts in a number of ways. So here, one thing is that easier way. I can't say this is an easier way. Let's say a few ways. One thing you want to clear this doubt is that if you have a teacher, that would be best. I mean, if you have a competent teacher, that would be best. That means that the teacher can guide you that if you are able to see this, the teacher will encourage you to observe it more. And sometimes the teacher will not tell you why you should observe these things. You go into an interview with the teacher says, carry on, keep on noting. It doesn't really clear your faith. Clear your doubt away, And clear, the teacher asked me to keep on doing it. So what? Am I doing correct or not correct right now? So then out of this one, you okay, keep on doing. Then after some time, you know that keep on doing it. Then you realize that mindfulness is still strong. Mind is still clear. Then you can see that things are keep on changing already right now. Keep on changing a little bit more better. Sit down only, my mind is already quite clear already. It's not like those days have to struggle. Where's mindfulness? Where's the rising and falling? Rising and falling is like playing hide and seek with you, Sometimes come, sometimes disappear. This time no more. This time is that the rising and falling, the changing is much more clearer. So it's much more clearer. Then you notice that, if I keep on noticing, then I can see things are getting more clearer. That is where you clear doubt, because of you have to sort of like put a trust in your teacher. But what actually more important is you have to trust your mindfulness. You have to trust the clarity of the mind. And sometimes, when you meditate, there may not be teachers around you. Yeah. For example, like right now, if let's say you are in the retreat session, and you have no teachers, and you have no access to a teacher. Let's say you are doing Vipassana and you do not have access to a teacher. And you are quite advanced yogi, perhaps not enlightened yet, but advanced yogi. You can able to notice your objects quite clearly. You know how to do your walking meditation. But because of that progress right now, that you're going to see a lot of changes, a lot of arising and passing away, changing and so on, sometimes some people, when we talk about arising and passing away of objects, they have, some yogis have a different meaning or different perception of different imagery of what is arising and passing away is about. So the teacher says like that, but they'll think it another way, or they conceptualize it in another way. And then when they practice as they develop, the mind can notice this arising and passing away quite clearly. But then after that, the yogi think, how come what I think never occur one, and this thing is right now in front of me is doing like that. So how like that? How should I take note of these things or that type of thoughts that I have in the past? This is where sometimes some yogis they more attached to what they think and what they know. Yeah. They are more attached to their own Dhamma, rather than what is reality right now, is right in front, is happening right now, but they just do not want to see that. So here it's where the skeptical doubt come in. Your doubt come in because your theory and your reflection and the reality cannot tally, cannot tally, cannot go parallel together. So you panic inside there, your skeptical doubt arises. So here, it's really important, or you have to trust your mindfulness, and you have to brave enough to let go of your thoughts, to your thinking and to your imagination, to your reflection. You have to let that go, at least for a while, let that go and trust what is in front of you and observe that. Then only you can progress. If you cannot do like that, then you always be stuck with what you believe is true. What you believe, not what you see is true, or what you believe is true. And that is many times more advanced yogi has this problem. This problem when they read a lot, which is good, but they go attached to it. So as a meditator, here you must really trust your observation, and you have to observe it as it happens in the here and now, in the present. If your rising and falling is going to go sideways, you have got to observe it. You don't just start question. Cannot be one ma. You see, I open up my eyes, rising and falling, so go up and down. How come I close my eye, the rising and falling go sideways? So you have to trust your mindfulness, not trust your eyes or trust your thinking. You got to trust your mindfulness, you trust your observation, and that is really important. This is a lot of times the more advanced yogi, they stuck somewhere in the insights, in the inside knowledge, and then they cannot progress through. One of the things is that they doubt about their own progress. Yeah. I have these things, once in a while, in the past, but then this is what I learned. You got to push everything aside and just write whatever is right in front of you. Now, there will become to a time also, sometimes it's even more deeper, that when you are meditating, especially like in Vipassana, it doesn't stay in one object. Sometimes we have that perception like Vipassana is also staying with just rising and falling. Just like they borrow the concept or they attach the concept from a samatha understanding, samatha meditation, that samatha you take hold of an object, which is in a way generally it's true, but you cannot apply it in the development of Vipassana. But for some yogis, that idea stay there for quite a long time, stay there for quite a long time. They only can know, let's say, if their main meditation object is rising and falling, they will take the rising and falling for a lot period of time. Any object that comes in, they are not happy about those things. They note the pain a little bit, they don't want to see, they want to go back rising and falling, quickly go back to rising and falling. They notice the thinking a little bit, they want to see more than that, they want to go back to rising and falling. Whenever they cannot go back to the rising and falling, then they begin to doubt their own practice. Am I able to progress or not? Am I meditating correctly or not? So these type of things is happening, in yogis, in meditation. So the yogis do not know what is right, because it's their level. So this time, if a competent teacher is there, they can tell you, you should note, if another object is clear, you got to let go of that object, the rising and falling, got to note that object. You pay attention to that object. If that object it become not clear, you go back to the rising and falling. You change here, change there. Every object, when you pay attention to, you have to take note of it with clarity. Not just because it's a secondary object, you just chin-chai, noting enough. Pain, enough lah. Go back to rising, falling. So you see the rising, falling very clearly, and then you note the pain, thinking. What is there? Then go back to rising and falling again. Then again, hot. What is there? What is cold? And then after that, go back rising, falling again. That type of attitude, they only take the rising, falling very clearly, but all other secondary objects, they are not putting the effort. So next time they begin to doubt their own practice. How come I cannot see my rising and falling? How come all other object is clear? Then again, the teachers also is very helpful. And then, as I said, you must learn to trust your noting. You must learn to trust your mindfulness. When this type of objects are changing, when it goes into the deeper aspect of meditation, the object doesn't stay even for 1 second sometimes. Sometimes it stays for 2 or 3 seconds only. Then it's already changed to another object completely. It stays there for 2-3 seconds, it changed to another object completely. And it goes from jumping from one object to another object to another object to another object to another object. Then if you still hold on to the idea that you must have a single object, or you hold on to an idea that you must just have a rising and falling, but now in front of you, the object is keep on changing here and there. And then you'll be thinking, say lah, my meditation got stuck already. Now it's not like on the rising and falling, it's just jumping here and there. How come this thing is happening to me? Am I doing it wrong or not? Am I doing it right or not? This is a number of times have got this type of questions during the interview, and I know what they are going through. So if it's happened this way, again, you must trust, you must have the confidence in your noting, in your mindfulness, that you see those things. Even that, you don't underestimate the skeptical doubt is there. In that time, you may not have all this anger problem or sensual desire, because that time mindfulness is quite strong, but you forget about the skeptical doubt. So you got to trust. there'll be times, okay, you'll be meditating until you really do not know what you're going through, or somehow or another, things doesn't go well, and you do not know how to overcome them and how to build up your mindfulness again and so on. These things, this time, what you should do, if you do not know, you try this, cannot, then you reset again everything. Reset means you let go of all your object, every object. Just go back to the rising and falling. Go back to the most basic object that you are familiar with. If everything that you do not know, let's say, everything you do not know, you get stuck somewhere. Just back to the rising and falling. Whatever, all these thoughts, everything, you just put everything aside. Just back to the rising and falling again. Reset. Or if you're in the walking, you do not know what you are doing, and sometimes the doubt does not settle. Again, all these things, you put everything aside. Just to the right step, left step, right step, left step. Why do you need to do all those things? Because here you cannot deal with your skeptical doubt. Therefore, you got to, the whole mind is going to haywire already. So put everything aside, back to the most basic part of it. And you don't be afraid to go back to the basic. When you go back to the basic, sometimes it's all about rebalancing the mind again. It's about inside that you to rebalance the faculty and to smoothen out that faculty again, to centralize the faculties, to smoothen it out. Then you build up again. Once you build up again to a certain clarity, everything fall into places again, and then the mind becomes clear. Sometimes like that now, So this is called indirect. You don't dwell into the thoughts too much. Especially to your own thinking, to your own imagination and reflection. Another thing, wait, thirsty. Now another thing, I've seen this before also, quite a number of times, not once, a number of times, that some yogis, he comes to able to see this arising and passing away. Things are very clear and so on. The yogi is not very sure, whether he's doing right or not, and then they go to a teacher. But the problem is that the teacher is not really a meditator. This is another big problem. The teacher is not a meditator, not really a deep experience type of meditator. And there are a number of them in the meditation centers, And the yogi is actually developing quite clearly, can able to notice quite a number of things. And the form of the rising and falling is not much there. It's just only arising, passing away. Things are changing quite fast. So then go into, pay respect to the teacher and then report to the teacher this time. And then, Saido, Bante, Longpo. And after that, you report all these things. Cannot. Go back to the rising and falling will do. Rising and falling. Don't go into all these things. Not right. Go back to the rising and falling. Go back to the rising and falling. If you are doing the in-breath, out-breath, go back to the in-breath, out-breath will do. Don't go and notice all this titi-tata. Just rising, passing, don't see all those things. Go back to rising, falling will do. Rising, falling will do. And then, when the yogi goes back to the meditation, since trust the teacher, you go back to a rising, falling, but cannot. Once you go back to a rising, falling, the whole mind, because of this mindfulness is strong, it will keep on going, noticing the the arising, passing away, because the mindfulness will go to the optimum level and to the optimum knowledge, And then you try to notice this thing, and then you're doubtful about that knowledge, and then the teacher says like that, I must go back there, must go back there, must go back to rising and falling again. This thing is a very difficult one. This is not one or two yogis, I've seen it in the past also. I've seen it in some of the teachers that I've reported to also. And there are people and there are teachers like that. Sad to say, Sad to say. There are some of the teachers, perhaps you have seen also, I've seen them. I know. But then, this is where the deeper experience of meditation, it cannot come from the books. It has to come from the experience of insight. And only when you experience those things and you know it brought, then only you can be able to understand somebody else. If your mind is so narrow, a little bit only, it's very hard for you to be able to understand all these things. So most of the time, most of the time, sometimes when you occur to these type of things, then you see that in that meditation centers, the yogi cannot progress far. Cannot progress far. Everything comes to a certain point. There's a cut-off line already. The yogi cannot go anything. The yogi may think that the actual experience is a wrong experience, but what the teacher says is right because the trust in the teacher. How to say all these things? So it's therefore, as I said, therefore, you have to trust your mindfulness. You have to trust your clarity. Now, to trust your clarity, sometimes what you can do is this. You notice this arising and passing away and you are not sure. You ask yourself, hey, am I hambin or not? Am I dreaming or not? Is this real in front of me, or is it that I'm imagining it? You ask yourself a few questions. It's kind of like a principle to check yourself. You ask yourself, hey, is it happening right in front of? Let's say I don't want to see it, put my mind away. Still happening, still happening. That means it's still happening in front of you. That means it's the right progress. It's the right progress. It's the right object. Something is right. Then secondly, is it still changing or not? It's still changing. You're not hallucinating, you're not dreaming, you're not fantasizing about it, and it is real, it's happening right there, it is changing right there. If it's this criteria, if you have this criteria, that means you are still in the path of vipassana, no matter what the teacher says. Because I said the teachers sometimes they don't practice. They're already in the meditation seat already. They're in the meditation chair already, in the teacher's chair already. So sometimes you have to really trust your wholesome mental quality by asking you a few questions. Then over time, when you are skillful, then you'll be seeing more and more things that it's very unusual. It's very funny, or not to say funny, but very unusual, that you cannot able to think about it. Think about how the objects will behave, how the objects will change. You got to learn to trust only. You keep on trusting what the mindfulness is happening right in front. Then only you can really progress. If you don't, your progress will either slow down or become stagnation because of that skeptical doubt. Because of that skeptical doubt. So these things is happening during in the meditation while the yogi is going through. So this time is that make sure that you trust your observation. You trust your observation and keep on going through until you are enlightened. until you are at least at the first stage of enlightenment, then only that skeptical doubt is totally eradicated. Then, as I said, in the first stage of enlightenment, your complete faith in the Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha, and the training, here the training of the Sila, Samadhi, Panya. You don't doubt about your own Panya or your wisdom. You don't doubt about your own noting. You don't doubt about your own experience. You don't doubt about what is happening and so on. Because even after enlightenment, after the first stage of enlightenment, the progress is still taking place. And there are more things for you to see. And here that time, after enlightenment, you don't have that type of doubt. There's that, and that, in the econ esayo, and econ eo, like that can or not, like that cannot, like that this or that. You don't have that type of doubt. You completely have a full trust into your observation. Not just only in the teachings of the Buddha or the Dhamma or the Sangha, but is on the whole Noble Eightfold Path. The mind is totally have full confidence of it. So until then, until enlightenment, then only the skeptical doubt is totally eradicated. So while in the meantime, there will be a lot of skeptical doubt, and it comes in that tiny little part here and there. All you need to do is, as I said, trust your mindfulness. That's why many times during in the Dhamma talk, in the past, again and again, we have to talk about mindfulness. We have to because the mindfulness, when it comes in from the beginning of the practice, in the middle of the practice, right to the enlightenment itself, when how the mindfulness develops, also it got its own way, got its own, own path, then you see them differently. But the thing is that when the mindfulness is there, the mind is wholesome. When the mind is wholesome, then the concentration comes in, then the effort comes in, then the wisdom factor comes in. Without this mindfulness, it's very hard for you to able to develop. So, as I said, you got to trust your mindfulness. Now, all right. Oh, what time? 10 o'clock already. Anyway, now, just there are other things what you can do, Maybe I'll talk about that in the next talk. Because this one, samatha, also is quite interesting. All levels of jhana. Here, all levels of jhana, if you have samatha jhana, any of your samatha jhana, and you come out from that samatha jhana and you do vipassana, as I said, you don't have to worry about all your hindrances. Maybe a little bit here and there, but you can able to, because of the mindfulness is strong, it can able to protect the mind from all these hindrances from coming in, if you have the jhana. If you have the right jhana, not the wrong jhana. In the samatha, here recollection on the qualities of the Buddha. Before we go, just give you a brief, we'll talk about that in the next week again, on this recollection. The Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha, the Sila, Chaga, and Deva. The Buddha here is the quality of the Buddha, the qualities of the Buddha. The qualities of the Buddha. Now, when we do this recollection of the Buddha, okay. If you want to know how to do this recollection of the Buddha, let me stop sharing this one. Hopefully I share this one with you. The path of purification, Visuddhimagga. Okay. When you said, you see the recollection of the enlightened one? Can you see? Okay. Can you all see another recollection of the enlightened one? All right, now? Okay. Now, a meditator with absolute confidence who wants to develop firstly the recollection of the enlightened one among these 10 type of recollection should go into a solitary retreat, in a favorable abode, and recollect the special qualities of the enlightened ones, the blessed one, as follow. Now, this one is the iti piso bhagawa arahang, all these things. Okay. Now, here he recollects the blessed one is such, he is accomplished. Accomplished here is arahant. So, when you want to develop, you want to reflect on the qualities of the Buddha, then here you must have some theory about what is the qualities of the Buddha. And here the qualities of the Buddha, it says that, okay, the Buddha is an arahant. What is an arahant? What is an arahant then? Here, an arahant, there are 5 things what it makes an arahant. Because of remoteness. I mean, you have to know the Pali, araka, remoteness. Remoteness of what? Remoteness from the defilements. Because of his enemy, Ari, what enemy is defilements? Because of what? The spokes having been destroyed. Ara, the spokes has been destroyed. Okay. Number 4, because of his worthiness of requisites, etc., hospitality, anjali, offerings, because of his worthiness. Because of absence of secret of evil wrongdoing, secret evil doing. Secret evil doing. That means you don't have all this secret of evil doing and so on. So this is what it means by arahant. So when you reflect, the Buddha is an arahant. What do you mean by arahant? So if you cannot remember all 5, then you remember, maybe one will do. Oh, arahant, the Buddha arahant, because all his defilements are already eradicated. His spokes are all destroyed. All the connection with the world is all destroyed. So you reflect, it's kind of a reflection. You reflect about this one. Okay? So you want to reflect about what is accomplished, then the inside this Visuddhimagga, this is the 2nd chapter, the chapter of concentration, the different types of meditation, and they tell you how to do it. It's a reflection. It's not difficult. What is difficult is that you have to remember the qualities. So you want to know, then what else you want to know? Accomplish, and then so many things. They give you all kinds of what you mean by an arahant. Wait, let me see. What's the second one? Where's the second one? Arahant is still arahant. Okay, now the second one is coming. Fully enlightened. What is Samma Sambuddha? Then what is right and what is everything? They try to explain it to you quite clearly. Then so all you need to do is going to read yourself. Now this path of purification. If you have the book, it's okay. Something like this. Nowadays, you have something like this type of book, but it's quite thick. Anyway, this is all reflection. We talk about it. We later part in the next week, we're going to pull out 1 or 2 here and there to talk about it. So it would be good that if you got a little bit of homework, you go to the internet, you type there Path of Purification or Visuddhimagga, and you download it. It's free download. It's free download. All these things is free. And there's so many things that you can read about the qualities of the Buddha or the qualities of the Dhamma or qualities of the Sangha. And then also, we're going to talk about the Chaga, what is the qualities of offerings, qualities of Sila, qualities of the Deva. All these things, you can It's simple reading. Yeah, it's simple reading, and these things has been written more than 1,000 years ago. Yeah. So anyway, we're going to talk about this overcoming of this skeptical doubt in the next week. All right, next week Wednesday. Next week Monday. So on this Friday again, we have this Q&A. So if you have any questions, then you post your questions on the Dhamma or the practice to Sister Hunling here. She hasn't put Sister Willing, can you type Hunling's number inside here? If maybe she's not around. Never mind. Okay, we will share merits right now. No?